Welcome to Dinner with the Damned. This is a 4-part series where we are going to make some of your favorite horror characters' favorite meals. They're gonna be spooky. They're gonna be possibly gross. We don't know. I'm just winging it. So let's see what we're cooking up and for who in the cursed kitchen today. Hello, friends. Hello, family. Today, we're going to answer the question, what is Jason Voorhees' favorite dish? If you are not familiar with Mr. Jason Voorhees, this is our lovely gentleman who stars in the film Friday the 13th. Let's find out what Jason Voorhees would love to come to dinner to. And I see that you all have dressed up for our spooky season. What are you supposed to be, Bearverly? What do you mean? What am I supposed to be? I'm a Labubu, obviously. Cool. Okay. And then over here, Miss Maffenzie. It's a little hard to see in the dark, but what are you supposed to be exactly?
I'm a truly terrifying sea creature.
Yeah. Is that an avatar mask?
Yeah, they're terrifying.
Cool. All right. Well, I love both of the outfits. I think they're phenomenal. Let's go ahead and start talking about our guest of honor, Jason Voorhees. So what would Jason Voorhees love to eat? Let's think about this a little bit. I think Jason Voorhees would like to eat teenagers, right? Makes sense to me. He obviously is obsessed with teenagers. They neglected him at Camp Crystal Lake and he's back for revenge. So wouldn't he love to eat teenagers? But we can't just cook up teenagers. That's not allowed. And to be frank, I feel like people meat would be gross. I don't know. I just feel like people meat would be tough. Anyway, I think what we could make instead is something of a, well, you know what? Let me show you the ingredients and maybe y'all can deduce what we're about to make. All right, here to pass on our ingredients to us is our face hugger popcorn bucket. Face hugger may or may not be a guest on the show this series, so stay tuned to find out. But let's see what ingredients we have to work with today. So first up, Ski Queen Norwegian style creamy caramel cheese. So this cheese, if you've never had it, it is super interesting. That's the color of it. It's sort of a fleshy, obviously a more tanned flesh than me. I'm quite pale, but a fleshy colored cheese that really does taste sweet. It tastes like caramel. It is quite an interesting cheese. Very, very delicious. If you've never had it, truly recommend giving it a shot. We also have Always Save cherry pie filling. Delicious. We've got home style pizza dough crust. And finally, we have gummy body parts. We've got some fingers. We've got eyeballs. That's another finger. Mostly fingers and eyeballs. There's an ear. Several different kinds of body parts. So if you haven't figured out what we're doing yet, we're basically going to make a dessert pizza and we're going to top it with our sweet skin-colored cheese and our gummy body parts. So for Jason Voorhees, we're going to be making teenager pizza. That actually sounds delicious. We're gonna find out if it's any good or not, because not only are we gonna make it, but we're gonna eat it. So let's get started. First step for our teenager pizza is to roll out our home style pizza crust pizza dough. Now, could I have fresh made pizza dough? Maybe, but we're not here to be legitimate pastry chefs. We're here to make stupid food for cool movie characters. So let's see what the instructions are on this bad boy. Preheat oven to 425. Done. Next up, unroll dough onto greased baking sheet. Then top with cooked meat, cheese, and other toppings. Then we're gonna bake 9 to 15 minutes or until until crust is golden brown. Additional time may be required for extra toppings. Pretty straightforward here. We're gonna roll this out as instructed. This has it on a square pizza thing, but I have a round one, so we'll see. We'll see what we can do here. I'm not gonna put the gummy body parts on this before I put it in the oven. Otherwise, they're just gonna melt. So going into the oven, the only thing this is gonna have on top of it is the cherry pie filling and the cheese. So let's get this rolled out. Who's seen Friday the 13th before? The original, the 1980 classic. If you've seen the classic movie, you know the twist at the end is that Jason is not actually the killer at the end of this movie. If you know who the actual killer is in the original Friday the 13th movie, drop it down in the comments. All right, we've got our pizza sheet here. I did not grease it. Instead, I'm going to use some parchment paper, and I might regret that decision later. It might make the dough too soft, but I'm concerned about sticking otherwise. So I don't want it to stick to the pan. So that's why we're going to go ahead and use parchment paper. Now let's open this up and see what it looks like. I hate these things where you have to like peel them open and then they pop and then it just terrifies you. And then you've torn off all your instructions. Actually, look at that. They were smart. They left the instructions somewhere where you can still see it. Okay, where's the edge of it? It says press spoon. I'm scared. Okay, it's not working. Let's try it like this. There we go. All right. Boop. Boop. Okay. So it does look like this is rectangular-ish. Not exactly round, but we can kind of maybe work this to be more round, which I'm not somebody who's really worked with pizza dough, but I've seen people on TV do it, and this is how they do it, right? They just kind of stretch it. Okay, that's not really working. I also have no idea what I'm doing, so let's do it like this. Let's try to kind of, we want a crust, so maybe we should kind of fold it up around the edges to give it a good crust. We ain't trying for perfect, y'all. We're just trying to make it not gross, because we will be eating it. There we go. Sort of rounded pizza dough. Now we need to top it. Cherry pie filling. Who doesn't love that? Let's top our pizza with it. The reason I chose cherry pie filling is because doesn't this look like bloody guts? Obviously, we want bloody guts on our pizza. We couldn't just put any kind of topping on this. Blueberry, regular pizza sauce. No. It had to be something. Let's just put all of it on there. I was gonna kind of only put a little bit, but it seems like we're gonna need all of it to do the full pizza. But yeah, you know, cherry pie filling absolutely kind of gives you that blood and guts vibe that you really need for a teenager pizza that Jason Voorhees would be excited to eat. I personally am a toppings over crust kind of person. Like, I love crust. I love deep dish crust. But man, I love a lot of toppings, you know? There is our cherry pie filling on top of our pizza crust. Now we need the cheese. I had already opened this to get into it and eat a little bit of it. If you've never had this cheese, and it's not something you just find everywhere, you kind of have to go to special, at least in America, you have to go to specialty stores to find it. It's so good. It's such a bizarre experience for cheese because it is sweet and caramely. Like, truly, it's caramely. Caramel. I don't know. How do you say it? Let me know. It's definitely different than your standard block of cheese, but in a good way. I don't think it's gonna melt like standard cheese at all. I think it's just gonna get kind of goopy on there, but I think the flavor is gonna be right where we want it to be. And the idea is not necessarily to make a pretty pizza. It's to make a tasty pizza that looks like it was made out of teenagers. All right, I think we have about enough cheese on here. I love cheese, so of course, gotta get a lot on there. Now, doesn't that look sort of like skin colored, like skin shavings? It's crazy. And that's not just like because it's dark in here. That cheese really is kind of a tan skin color. Very cool cheese. Very tasty. Like I said, if you ever have the opportunity to find that cheese, buy it. You won't be disappointed, especially if you like unique cheese experiences. So our pizza is ready to go into the oven. That's our oven preheated. So let's pop our pizza in. It said 9 to 15 minutes, depending on the toppings. I think it's going to be probably closer to 15, but we'll pop her in and find out. We've got just a couple seconds left on our pizza. I think it's looking pretty good. We're going to see when we pull it out here. It smells edible, at least, so that's always a good start. The crust is definitely looking done. Oh, yeah. Check it out. It's looking a little jiggly, but the crust is definitely done. Crust is definitely good. I mean, you know, the cheese, like I said, I didn't expect it to really melt, and it got soft. It melted down a little bit, but it didn't really melt. It actually got a little darker, which is crazy. So it's probably like even more intensely caramelly than it was before we stuck it in there. So I'm excited to try it. I am going to let this cool down a little bit before we add our final toppings to it, because I don't want them to just immediately melt into goo. So we'll give that a couple minutes to cool off. We're still pretty toasty here, but I think we're cool enough that we can start topping it with our body parts. Let's dump these out. And I'm just thinking we'll do a little bit of everything, kind of spread out all over. Eyeball. Blip. Oh boy, this is gonna be something. Let's get what is that? A finger? Let's get a finger on there. Blip. Ew. This is a blue brain. Bleh. There you go, brain. I'm going to go through and finish topping this, and then we're going to see, Jason, are you so excited? We're going to see the final teenager pizza for Jason Voorhees, our guest of honor. Are you ready to see your teenager pizza? That's great. Let's check it out. Teenager pizza, complete with bloody guts as the base, skin, cheese, and body parts, brains, feet, fingers, eyeballs, ears. Yum, teenager pizza. What do you think, Jason? Yeah, you don't really talk much, do you? All right, our pizza is done. As you can tell, some of the people toppings did melt, even though we gave it a little bit of time to top them. It still got a little melty, but that's all right. I'm not too worried about it. Let's chop her up. Try and get one with lots of body parts here. Oh, goodness. It's still pretty hot and not wanting to come out of there without being a sloppy mess. So let me get a plate. All right, we lost some toppings. Let me get those back on there. We don't want to lose our people toppings. That's important, you know. That's what makes a teenager pizza pizza is the people toppings. So there's our slice. I think this is the kind of pizza I'm going to have to eat with a fork. And you can boo me if you want, but I don't know how I'm supposed to eat that otherwise. It's a little too sloppy to eat it any other way. So we'll get a bite. We definitely want some of the goopy brain on there. Yeah, there we go. Get a little bit of everything. Bite going in. Mm-hmm. The gummies having melted on here is definitely giving it a texture that is interesting. Going in for a round 2 bite. That is very sweet. Mm-hmm. Let's get the rest of our brain in there. Brains. Mm-hmm. Yeah, all the people just melted anyway. All that trying to avoid having them melt, and they melted anyway. Let's get this piece that has the finger on it. Yeah, so the gummy body parts, not really good on there. Not gonna lie, not my favorite part of this. Let's try this now that it's mostly just the cherry and crust and cheese. No, that's much better. Yeah, this should have stopped at just the cherry, the cheese, and crust, and no body parts. The gummies are so, like, sickly sweet. They're not very good gummy. Like, I feel like even eating them not totally melted would not be a pleasant experience because they're so weirdly sweet, and, like, you can taste the food dye. I don't know. Not the, like, highest quality gummy candies I've ever had. So that's not super pleasant on this, but the cherry's good. The cheese is honestly kind of hard to pick up. You don't really get a lot of cheese. Yeah, the crust is good. The cherries are good. This would have been a good dessert pizza if it were just the cheese and the cherries and the crust. The inclusion of the body parts made this less for me, but I don't know. Jason, what are your thoughts? Cool. Thank you for your commentary. All right, that wraps up Teenager Pizza. What should I have done differently? Should I have done different kinds of body parts? Maybe we should have done like a mold for the body part. I don't know. What do y'all think? Was this a success or not so much? It's not about what we think. It's about what Jason thinks. Very true. It's all about Jason, and I think he's pretty happy with it. So, like I said, this is a 4-part series, so we're going to be cooking some more weird food for some more classic horror characters coming up soon.
Yum, yum. It's time for a tasty and refreshing snack. And now, on with the show.
Hi, friends. Hi, family. Today, we're going to answer the question, what is Pinhead's favorite meal? Hey, man, do you know what you're doing with that over there? Okie dokie. So today we're going to cook for Pinhead. Pinhead is from the Hellraiser films. If you've never heard of them, are you living under a rock? Go watch the Hellraiser films. They're amazing. Especially the first couple of ones are fantastic. And then the newer ones that have come out are also a ton of fun. So I recommend all of them. They're a good time. You got to be careful with that puzzle box. I do hope you understand what that is, don't you? So we're going to cook what I believe is Pinhead's favorite meal. So let's deduce this a little bit. What would Pinhead's favorite meal be? Something you eat with cocktail sticks. Like so, because of the pins, is that kind of what you're thinking? I mean, maybe.
How about something you eat with chains?
What do you eat with chains? I don't even know what that would be. But you are onto something, I think. Pinhead doesn't work alone, right? Pinhead doesn't work alone. What are his friends called?
I know, the Cenobites.
Yes, the Cenobites. And if we're thinking about the Cenobites, why not make a Cenobite cinnamon roll? Hey, yeah, it's a pun, sort of. It's a play on... Look, bear with me here. We're not just making cinnamon rolls tonight. What we're going to make are Cenobite cinnamon rolls that Pinhead and his pals would love. So let me grab the ingredients and you can kind of see what I'm thinking here. All right, our buddy, the face hugger, is back to give us our ingredients that we're going to need for our Cenobite cinnamon rolls. First up, we have some Fruitful O's loop cereal. I'm going to tell you what we're going to do with this here in a few minutes. Next up, we've got some red melting chocolate, melting wafers. And finally, of course, we have cinnamon rolls. And could I make these from scratch? Sure, but that's not what we're here to do. We're here to make something silly. So I'm doing it the easy way. So these are our ingredients that we're working with. Now, the Pinhead and his crew wouldn't just eat regular old cinnamon rolls. No. They need a little bit of blood drizzled on top of those, and they need some chains with those. So with our Fruitful O's, we're gonna make some chains to put on top of our cinnamon rolls, and we're gonna drizzle them with a little bit of red blood with the chocolate here. So that's the plan. As I see it right now. So let's go ahead and dig into it. First up, what do we need to do for our cinnamon rolls? Let's read the instructions here. Directions: heat oven to 375. Done. All right, after that, we need to grease a round cake pan. Place rolls in the pan, cinnamon topping up. Bake 13 to 18 minutes or until golden brown, and then spread with icing. So pretty easy, pretty straightforward. Let's go ahead and get these on a round baking pan. I'm trying to think what a round cake pan is. I guess it needs to have high size. I don't have a round cake pan, so. All right, here's our quote unquote cake pan. Hopefully this works. Let's grease it up a little bit. As you'll notice today, the feature movie is Night of the Living Dead. And the reason we picked this movie instead of Hellraiser is because this one's public domain. And, you know, I don't need to be haunted by the Hellraiser studio for playing their movie in the background. That is all greased up. Let's open up our cinnamon rolls and see what we're working with here. Yet again, I am to be terrified by these things. Come on. There we go. I feel like this isn't the right kind of pan. Like, they're gonna have to be really squished in there if I use that. But I feel like the reason it's a cake pan is because it wants you to use something with, like, tall edges. Maybe that's more appropriate. Re-grease. Now let's place our rolls. Cinnamon side up, it said. Aha! I wondered if they give you icing with these, and they do. Oh, look at how sneaky. All right, I think we could have used the smaller pan. So I got a little excited, and we didn't need to use this giant pan, but that's okay. There we go. We've got our cinnamon rolls ready to go in the oven. So let's go ahead and throw those in the oven, and then while they bake, we can prep everything else. We need to go in for 13 to 18 minutes. Let's do our chains. So here's what I'm thinking. I think what we'd want to do is mostly use the purple loops here. And here, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Let's get a little knife. So here's what I'm thinking. We'll do little cuts, sort of like that, but ideally a little more controlled so that they can go together like that. But again, ideally more controlled. Well, ideally we're not like breaking it every time. Dang it, they always want to crack and break. Let's see what we can do here. Dang it. All right, the way these are cracking, this might be a little bit harder than I originally thought. We could just arrange them so they kind of look like chains but aren't actually chains. So arrange them on the cinnamon rolls. This is quite an endeavor. Arrange them on the cinnamon rolls like this. So they're not actually chained together. I'm using halves and holes to kind of make it look like they're chained together. So let me show you with another couple ones here. So here's a couple whole ones, here's a couple halves. So we'll connect these two, sort of. It's sort of iffy. So there's one, and then we'll do it again with like these two. Sort of like that. Is it perfect? No, but will it hopefully look good? We'll see. That's what we'll do for the chains. Let's break up a couple more into halves and holes and pick out some purple ones, and then we'll be set on that. There. Hopefully we can make that work and make it look sort of like chains. Here you go, buddy. Now you have a little Fruit Loop crown. Doesn't he look lovely? He might kill me. All right, the other thing we're going to want to do, but we're going to wait until we're closer to being done with our cinnamon rolls, is that we're going to melt some of this chocolate. This should be pretty straightforward. It doesn't give you directions, but really it's just going to be throw some in a cup, melt it, and then we're going to drizzle it on top. All right. Here are our cinnamon rolls, looking more like cinnamon puffs than rolls, honestly. Yeah, that's a thing. These honestly look horrifying all on their own. Job well done. I think we can call it here. Hey. No, actually, we got more work to do. Now, because it comes with the frosting, I might as well go ahead and put that on there. It's not going to hurt anything else that we're going to do decoration-wise. So let's go ahead and top this with their icing. I guess you just scoop this. So you think I've made these before, and I have not. I assume that's going to just sort of melt, and as it melts, we can sort of, squish it around more. I'm not doing a great job making these look pretty with the icing they give you, but, what are you going to do? All right, a lot of it is melting off, so that's exciting. Whatever. That was just for fun because it came with it. That's not the real topping. Let's work on the real toppings now. We're going to melt some of these red chocolate wafers. I don't need a ton. That's enough. And to do that, we're just going to pop them in the microwave and use the melt function, which is a super nifty thing we have on the microwave to melt these. Melt chocolates. Look at that. I don't think we have 4 ounces, so we'll stop this sooner, but we'll let that start. We'll pull it at like 30 seconds and see what it looks like. Not melted at all yet. So this might need the actual full 2 minutes. Let's throw it back in there. At least these smell good. They don't look good. Like I said, they kind of look horrifying all on their own. We'll have just so little to do to make this a truly horrifying treat. There you go, buddy. I fixed it for you. Here is our red chocolate, all nice and melted and ready to go. So let's start drizzling a little on our, ideally not in gloops like that. Let's see if we can make the next one a little prettier. That's a little better. Now we're getting the hang of it. Now we're starting to go beautiful. All right, our chocolate's layered. We've got a few that turned out looking, pretty good. And then a few that turned out looking not very good. And that's okay. The last step is to add our chains. So let me grab maybe a set that we've already kind of put together. And see if we can just gently set it on here without messing up our chocolate drizzle. There we go. Not too bad. All right, I'm going to finish putting our chains here, and then I'm going to plate this up, and we'll see what our final Cenobite Cinnamon Rolls look like. All right, little buddy, are you ready to see your favorite meal? Cenobite Cinnamon Rolls, complete with blood drizzle and Fruit Loop chains. Little Pinhead, so far in this series of food items, I feel like these haven't been the greatest results. Sometimes you try things in the kitchen and you hope they're going to turn out looking really good, and sometimes they look like whatever the hell this is. Our blood chocolate turned out more pink than blood. The chains don't look like chains. They look like sad purple Fruit Loops. So, we did our best. We did our best, and that's all you can ask for sometimes. And hey, at least hopefully this tastes good. At least if it tastes good, we can walk away and say, like, we have a win. We had a win today. So let's go ahead and give this a taste. Like I said, as far as looks go, it's not the prettiest, but it doesn't smell bad. So, and I mean, how bad could it be? It's just chocolate, Fruit Loops, and cinnamon rolls. Let's take a bite and find out. Oh, lovely. I got chocolate all over my camera. Cool. So the loops add like a really weird flavor to it. Not my favorite. Yeah, all the extra toppings, the blood chocolate, the Fruit Loops, really didn't add anything to it. I don't know that they made it worse, and ultimately, like, maybe the reason why this isn't the best is because it's freaking cinnamon rolls out of a tube, I don't know how good those cinnamon rolls would have been just plain on their own. They honestly didn't look that good. So maybe partly to blame is our laziness. Maybe our laziness is partly to blame today, that we used a roll of the cinnamon rolls, and that I don't think was very good. The chocolate didn't really add anything here other than kind of the flavor of red food dye, and the Fruit Loops also didn't add anything. Now, I personally am not a big sweets fan, so maybe that's why I'm just not in love with this. It is very sweet, and like I said, it's the like flavor of the Fruit Loops plus the flavor of the chocolate plus the cinnamon, the icing, the roll. I don't know. None of it's really working out for me altogether. So, Pinhead, hopefully you at least thought this was cool and you'll give me a pass. Will you give me a pass? I see you're standing next to the puzzle box, so I don't think I have a pass here. I think this might have been a bit of a fail, but that's okay. We tried it. Next time, maybe we'll make something that actually passes. So hang out. There's more episodes of this. Hopefully, we'll see you in the next one. If you've got any recommendations on how I could have done this better, let me know down in the comments. I'm always open to hear about it. Oh, I'm sure you'll hear about it. I'm sure I will too. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye, babies.